NBA Imperialism Day 1.
The filter will decide which team does the attacking, and then I'll spin an arrow on the map to decide which direction they're attacking. New Orleans is making the first move.
We've got Zion Williamson and the New Orleans Pelicans heading to Oklahoma City to take on the reigning NBA champion Oklahoma City Thunder. And we're off with the first bucket of the game coming from the newest Pelican, Jordan Poole. And as the first quarter closed, the new and improved Pelicans had the lead going into the second quarter. But as the game progressed, Zion and the Pelicans kept their foot on the gas, as Shea got in his bag, ending the first half by cutting the deficit to 3 points. But the second half got ugly real fast as iHeart kicked it out to Chet for the three, and SGA found his rhythm at the line. And from that point on, Shea took over the game. It was bucket after bucket. And it makes sense that all of this happened in the third quarter because the Thunder are notorious for big third quarter runs. Like I said, big third quarter runs. And that's pretty much all it took, as OKC ended up winning the game by 17. Shea led the way for the Thunder and Poole led the way for the Pelicans.
And because the Thunder won, they can steal a player from the Pelicans. So if I make it, they steal a player. If I miss it, they don't steal a player. Meaning OKC doesn't steal a player from the Pelicans.
And the Thunder have now claimed even more territory. I'll see you guys for day 2 of Imperialism tomorrow. NBA Imperialism Day 2.
In day 1, we saw Zion and the Pelicans head into OKC to take on the Thunder. And they controlled most of the game up until the Thunder had a 35-9 third quarter. And the Thunder captured the Pelicans' territory, but we of course have to spin to see which team will be attacking. Also, Hamilton Hoops merch, victoryvisions.shop. Anyways, the Warriors are attacking. Steph Curry and the Warriors are heading to Salt Lake City to take on the Utah Jazz. And off rip, the Warriors draw up a play to get their best shooter wide open for a three. But on the other end, John Collins followed it up with a fading three of his own, followed by an Isaiah Collier tomahawk dunk and another Buddy Hield three-pointer. Needless to say, this game is going back to back. And by the end of the first, the Jazz had a commanding 11-point lead. But the Warriors couldn't make a big dent into the lead. They went into halftime down 9. And that was primarily because Steph went into halftime with only 6 points and hadn't made a 3 yet. And as much as Steph just tried to get it rolling, he just couldn't. The Jazz were too tough and Lowry was dominating. I mean, this was the story of the entire game. Isaiah Collier had Steph in the Collier cage. Steph could not move. And without their best player showing up tonight in Steph Curry, the Warriors just didn't have it in them. Meaning the Golden State Warriors are the first upset in the NBA Imperialism series. But Lauri Markkanen led the way for the Jazz while Steph Curry led the way for the Warriors. And with that upset, the Jazz have an opportunity to steal a player from the Warriors if I make it. If I miss it, they don't steal a player. We're putting Steph Curry in Utah. Here's a look at the new Utah Jazz roster with Steph Curry, and the Utah Jazz now control a little sliver of California.
NBA Imperialism Episode 3. In the last episode, we saw the Jazz upset the Warriors and steal Steph Curry from their team while taking over their portion of California.
Let's find out which team will be doing the attacking in today's video. Cleveland.
And it looks like the Cavaliers will be attacking Memphis, meaning we have Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs heading to Memphis to take on Ja Morant and the Grizzlies. After Garland hit the first bucket of the game, it was all Memphis from there on out in the first quarter. And Memphis made a couple more baskets, forcing Cleveland to call an early timeout. And not much changed in the first quarter as they took an 11-point lead into the second. But things weren't looking good for Cleveland as they started the second quarter on a 10-minute scoring drought, led by the Grizzlies' new additions Ty Jerome and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. But no matter how many points you go up against the Cavs, they'll find a way to battle back, as they cut their deficit to just 3 points going into halftime. But coming out of halftime, the Grizzlies continued to roll. We had a Ja to Zach Edey alley-oop, a Ty Jerome bucket here, and a Ty Jerome buzzer beater to go into the fourth. But sadly for Memphis, this was the last time they'll see the lead for the rest of the game, as Darius Garland began to take over in the fourth. He made back-to-back layups, and then DeAndre Hunter hit this dagger from 3, as Memphis would eventually go on to lose by 10 after a very hard-fought game. For the Grizzlies, Ja Morant put the team on his back, and as for the Cavs, this was a full team effort.
And with a win there, the Cavaliers could steal a player from the Memphis Grizzlies if I make the shot. If I miss it, they do not get the steal. No steal for the Cavs.
But they were able to steal Memphis' territory and move further south.
NBA Imperialism Episode 4. This spin is for the team that will be attacking in today's video, the Suns. The spinner will tell us which direction the Suns will be attacking, and it looks like we're going to San Antonio.
We've got Devin Booker and the Suns heading to San Antonio to take on Wemby and the Spurs. But before we begin, I just need you guys to brace yourselves for what's about to happen from this man right here. But anyways, the Spurs got off to a decent start, making their first 2 baskets, while the Suns, on the other hand, were just having a clank fest between Devin Booker and Jalen Green. But they finally got it rolling as Book and Green combined for 19 of their 29 first quarter points, entering the second quarter with only a 4-point deficit. In the second quarter, Devin Vassell and rookie Dylan Harper put on a dunk contest, all while Suns veteran Bradley Beal was putting on a clinic of what not to do, of how to not play basketball, of how to not shoot the basketball. He was terrible. But surprisingly,
After all that,
the Suns were only down 3 going into the half. The start of the second half was chippy as Stephon Castle shoves Jalen Green here, and man do I wish 2K would let you throw a punch. Then Dylan Harper splashes this wide open 3, Bradley Beal continues his hot shooting game, and he cashes this deep 3 from half court. But we actually had a good game on our hand as San Antonio was up 8 going into the fourth. Just one more Bradley Beal 3-pointer for the memes. But at this point, the Spurs kind of ran away with it. Cornette hits a bucket to go up 8 right here, and then Wemby gets a bucket to go up 18, meaning the Suns are officially knocked out of the Imperialism tournament. Wemby and Fox led the way for the Spurs, while Jalen Green led the way for the Suns. Solid shooting game from the Suns' big 3.
Easy dub for the Spurs. If I make it, they can steal a player. If I miss it, they don't. Obviously, the player they're going to steal if I make it is Devin Booker, which I do.
Meaning the Spurs have now captured the Suns' territory.
NBA Imperialism Episode 5. This team will do the attacking in the video today. Dallas. And the spinner will tell us which direction Dallas is attacking. It looks like it's OKC. This is going to be a good matchup.
We've got the team of old heads and Cooper Flag versus the reigning champion Oklahoma City Thunder. And to start the game, both teams came out swinging. Kyrie hits a 3 here, followed up by a Lou Dort triple in the next possession. Then Shea gets into his mid-range bag and Derek Lively gets an easy bunny here. New Mav D'Angelo Russell gets this mini to drop and Shea gets an easy lay to end the quarter. And after the first, we're knotted up at 30 apiece. But the second quarter was rough for the Mavs as every bucket they would hit, it would be matched by OKC in the other end, which would help OKC take an 11-point lead into the break. And that pattern would continue into the second half as Dallas would make a bucket and OKC would match, to the point where OKC found themselves up 22 and Dallas had to desperately try and come back. And down 21 going into the fourth, they would need some Luka magic to do this. But without Luka, Dallas would need a new unsung hero to step up, and that guy was D'Angelo Russell. But after cutting the lead down to 12, Dallas just continued to miss layup after layup, easy bunny after easy bunny. And that stall out on the offensive end for the Mavs led to a Jalen Williams fourth quarter to be remembered forever, as he would lead OKC down the stretch to help close out the Mavericks 114-97. J-Dub would end up being the player of the game for the Thunder, while Kyrie had a poor shooting game going 25 points for 25 shots.
That was a little disappointing, but if I make it, OKC can steal one of Dallas' players. If I miss it, they cannot. I'm going to give him Anthony Davis, I think. But this means that OKC has now taken Dallas's territory and are still on the hunt. NBA Imperialism Episode 6. This is for the attacking team today. The Lakers. And the spinner will tell us which direction we're attacking. It looks like it's Utah, but it's a close call. We've got Luka and LeBron James heading to Salt Lake City to take on Steph Curry and the Jazz. Now this game started off hot with a Rui Hachimura and 1, followed up by a 3 on his next possession. But Steph Curry was also getting busy on the other end, hitting Luka with this combo, and then followed that up with a layup of his own. But it was the Lakers that would take a 9-point lead into the second quarter. Austin Reeves started the second quarter with this mid-range jumper, followed by a Taylor Hendricks pull-up 3, and this Ace Bailey dunk kind of on LeBron. But it didn't matter as the Lakers took an 8-point lead into the half. But I'll be honest, it was pretty much the Lakers show the rest of the game. Luka hits a 3, LaRavia hits the 3, and the Lakers go into the fourth quarter up 74-53. The fourth quarter was just the same as the third quarter, just Laker domination. They went on to win the game 96-69. Steph Curry was the best player for the Jazz, while Luka Doncic led the way for the Lakers. I think we all saw that coming, but if I make it, the Lakers can steal a player from the Jazz. If I miss it, they don't get to. Steph Curry, you're going to LA. And just like that, the Lakers take the Jazz territory, they get Steph Curry, and they move further east. NBA Imperialism Episode 7, this is for the team attacking today. And the spinner will tell us which direction the Wolves are attacking. It looks like we're headed to Toronto.
Anthony Edwards and the Wolves are heading north of the border to take on Scotty Barnes and the Toronto Raptors. It was all Minnesota from the jump. Ant hits this mid-range pull-up, Rudy gets this dunk, and then Jaden McDaniels hits a 3 to take a 7-0 lead. And finally, Scotty hit a 3 to end their drought, but at the end of the quarter, it would be Anthony Edwards hitting this 3 to give him a 7-point lead to go into the second. But it was all RJ Barrett to start the second quarter. He hit back-to-back layups to cut the Wolves' lead to 3. And Anthony Edwards hit this 3 to try and stop the Raptors' run, but it wasn't enough, because they found themselves down 9 points at the start of the Julius Randle show. Randle threw the entire team in his backpack and carried them to just a 3-point deficit going into the half. And the entire third quarter was both teams trading buckets. RJ Barrett 3, Terrence Shannon Jr. 3. Julius Randle mid-range, Grady Dick mid-range. Just to be knotted up at 73 apiece going into the fourth. But the fourth quarter went pretty awful for Toronto. They missed pretty much every shot and just started building houses for the local Toronto communities. And that was pretty much the opposite for the Timberwolves. They made most of their shots en route to a 28-13 fourth quarter and a 101-86 W. Scotty Barnes led the way for the Raptors, but take a look at Brandon Ingram's stat line. Disgusting. While Julius Randle led the way for the Timberwolves.
If I make it, the Wolves can steal a player. If I miss it, they cannot. They do get to steal a player. I'm just going to give him Scotty Barnes.
And after one basketball game, Minnesota now owns the entirety of Canada.
NBA Imperialism Episode 8. This is the team that's attacking in today's video, the Nets. And of course, the spinner tells us which direction the Nets are attacking. It looks like it's the 76ers.
Man, we got MPJ and the Brooklyn Nets heading to Philadelphia to take on the processed 76ers.
Okay, bear with me as I kind of rush through the first half because the second half is what movies is made of.
This is what movies is made of.
Anyways, this won't be the last time you see Igor Yeoman hit a 3 with 1 second on the clock. Now skip to the end of the quarter, Terrence Mann hits a 3 to take a 3-point lead. To start the second, Maxey hits him with a quick behind the back and then a pull-up J. Then MPJ knocks down a 3. And once again, it's Igor Yeoman who hits a last-second shot to give the Nets a 13-point lead going into the half. And it was all Brooklyn coming out of the half. MPJ smacks this off the glass, leading to an Igor Yeoman last-second 3 once again. Unfortunately, the Nets blew a 16-point lead after Joel Embiid makes this basket. And somehow the Sixers ended up with Malik Beasley. He drills 3 straight threes to give him an 8-point lead to go into the fourth. And down 9 with 2 minutes left in the fourth, Yeoman hits another 3. And then down 6 with 15 seconds left in the shot clock winding down, he does it again. So the Nets have to foul. VJ hits the first but misses the second one. It's a 4-point game. And on the next possession, MPJ hits a deep 3 to make it a 1-point game. But the Nets have to foul and Tyrese Maxey makes both. And down 3 with 2.8 left, MPJ gets a good look but it doesn't go down. Meaning the Sixers get the W on the back of Tyrese Maxey, while Igor Yeoman was the guy for the Nets. A make means the Sixers can steal a player, and a miss means they do not steal a player. They don't steal a player. Meaning the Sixers have now claimed the smallest portion of the map. NBA Imperialism Episode 9. This is for the team attacking in today's video, the Timberwolves. And the spinner tells us which direction the Wolves are attacking. It looks like we're going to Milwaukee.
Ant Edwards and the Timberwolves are on the move to take on Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks.
In new Bucks edition, Cole Anthony gets us started with a triple, which is matched on the other end with an Anthony Edwards triple. And I'm just going to warn all Minnesota fans, it gets ugly from here on out. Because after these 3 straight Giannis buckets, the Bucks take a 17-point lead into the second quarter. But maybe this Jaden McDaniels 3 can turn everything around, right? Yeah, I'm just kidding. Nothing gets turned around. We get a Kuzma slam, followed by whatever Bobby Portis is doing here. It looks like a travel, but he gets a putback on his own miss. And then Giannis gets all the way to the cup for his slam. And the icing on the cake is this Giannis almost full court heave, but it doesn't count. And the Bucks take a 72-51 lead into the half. And if you're a Wolves fan waiting for a different result in the second half, you didn't get it. We started out with a Miles Turner bucket. I mean, this got to the point that even AJ Green started playing with this food. And to cap off the quarter, we get a Cole Anthony lob to Giannis. And the Bucks take a 103-69 lead into the fourth quarter.
And let me just save you guys some time because it didn't get better. The Bucks went on to win 128-84, and this got so bad. If this was real life, this would be the second largest loss in Minnesota Timberwolves history. Let that sink in. Anyways, Giannis led the way in a dominant team performance, and Minnesota showed up today.
And of course, the Bucks can steal on a make, so if I make it, they're going to be taking Anthony Edwards, of course.
And just like that, the Bucks now have Anthony Edwards and control the largest part of the map.
NBA Imperialism Episode 10. This is for the attacking team in the video today, the Nuggets. And the spinner tells us which direction the Nuggets are attacking. It looks like they're going against the Spurs.
We've got Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets heading to San Antonio to take on Victor Escargot, Wet Banana, and the San Antonio Spurs. Devin Booker got the Spurs out to a hot start with this bucket, followed by a Nikola Jokic 3, and then the Spurs went on a run from here. Book got this one-handed push shot to drop, and then Wemby went to work with back-to-back buckets, forcing the Nuggets to call a timeout. But after Bruce Brown finds Jonas Valanciunas on this cut, they help the Nuggets take a 9-point lead into the second quarter. And the Nuggets lead continued to grow with a Valanciunas deep 2 right here, and then a Tim Hardaway 3 that put them up 12 points. But with 6 minutes remaining in the quarter, that was too much time for the Spurs. They ended up chipping away at this 12-point lead without giving up one basket and tying the game at 45 apiece. And it was Jamal Murray who hit the basket to stop the bleeding, but the Spurs took a 2-point lead into the half. Now the third quarter primarily consisted of both teams trading buckets. Each team went back and forth bucket for bucket, with the Spurs taking a 5-point lead into the fourth quarter looking to win the game. But the Spurs pretty much controlled the entire fourth quarter. This Aaron Gordon 3 with like 6 minutes left is one of the last buckets the Nuggets score for the rest of the period. But it would be Devin Booker hitting this mid-range jumper to make it a 17-point game as the Spurs walk out victorious. Wemby had a great game in this win, while Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets really struggled in that fourth quarter.
If I make the shot, the Spurs can steal a player from the Nuggets, and if I miss it, they don't get to, but you guys get to vote which player gets stolen. So every time I post an Imperialism video, go over to my Instagram story and vote which player you want the other team to steal. Let's make the shot here so the Spurs can steal a nugget. Just like that, barely get it to drop. Now after that win, the Spurs and the Bucks had the two largest territories on the map, splitting the entire country in half.
NBA Imperialism, episode 11. Let's find out which team is attacking Miami.
And Miami can only attack Orlando, so we have a battle for Florida. We've got the battle for Florida between Bam and the Miami Heat and Paolo Banchero and the Orlando Magic. Norman Powell gets us going here with a quick layup, followed by an Andrew Wiggins deep 2 and a Tyler Hero long 3 that makes Orlando call an early timeout. And after starting the game down 7-0, Suggs hit a free throw, followed by a Wendell Carter Jr. dunk, another Suggs bucket, and then finally a Paolo Banchero layup that forced the Miami Heat to call a timeout themselves. And after all of that back and forth, it was Miami that took a 2-point lead into the second quarter. To start the second, Davion Mitchell hits a 3, followed by a Haywood Highsmith 3, a Paolo Banchero layup, and then another Davion Mitchell layup that forced the Orlando Magic to call a timeout. But once again, it was the Orlando Magic that battled back with a Jonathan Isaac 3, followed by a Jalen Suggs layup and a Desmond Bane layup that ultimately helped the Magic only go down 1 into the half. And the third quarter would be the same as the previous two. Both teams were trading buckets, going at each other, getting crucial stops, leading to a very tight fourth quarter. But the fourth quarter was all one man, his first name Tyler and his last name Hero. Because even though Jalen Suggs hit this very clutch 3, it was Hero that hit the tough bucket to give him a 3-point lead with 51 seconds left. But after Franz Wagner made 2 straight free throws and Tyler Hero missed a fadeaway 3 with 15 seconds left, it would be Paolo Banchero with the ball in his hands, 6 seconds left, only down 1 point with a couple size-ups on Bam Adebayo and a step back. He would miss the game winner. Desmond Bane led the way for the Magic in a very tough game, while Tyler Hero had an absolutely insane game on crazy good efficiency.
I want to shout this comment out because this guy makes a great point. The make or miss mechanic that decides if a team can steal a player or not seems a little bit unbalanced. So from now on, when I make the shot, you guys can vote which player the other team steals. If I miss the shot, I'm just going to spin a random wheel generator with the other team's names, and whichever player is selected, that's who gets stolen. So if I make the shot, the Heat can steal Paolo Banchero, and if I miss it, we'll spin a random wheel generator. All right, Miami's taking Paolo.
And just like that, Miami controls all of Florida and is slowly sneaking north.
NBA Imperialism, episode 12. This is for the attacking team, the Celtics. Let's go.
And there's only one team that Boston can attack, and that's the Knicks. So we have Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics heading to New York to take on Jalen Brunson and the Knicks. And it's Mikal Bridges that gets us going with a 3 here, but that's matched on the other end with a Jason Tatum 3 as well. And on the next play, Mikal Bridges gets fouled on a 3 and hits all 3 free throws, and then right after that, he gets into his bag and hits a mid-range that forces Boston to call a timeout. But as good as it was looking for New York, Tatum would hit a 3 at the end of the quarter that would cut the Knicks lead to just 1 going into the second. Newest member of the Knicks, Jordan Clarkson, gets us going with the mid-range, followed by a Jason Tatum mid-range, a Peyton Pritchard 3-pointer, and a wide-open Mikal Bridges lay. Both teams would continue to trade buckets for the rest of the second quarter, but it was George Niang who would hit this clutch 3 to tie the game heading into the half. To get the second half rolling, we would see a Jalen Brunson mid-range, followed by a Jason Tatum mid-range on the other end. And then Josh Hart would knock down a 3, followed by a Jaylen Brown 3-pointer of his own, matching each other. And finally ending the quarter with a 20-foot finger roll from Mikal Bridges. And the start of the fourth quarter was no different than the entire game. Both teams would hit 3s back-to-back, matching each other once again. And the pattern continues as Jalen Brunson plays bully ball, followed by a Jason Tatum bully ball on the other end. Up 5 with a minute and a half, Tatum would get a very clutch block. Then Mikal Bridges would get a decent look at a 3 and miss it, so they have to foul Jason Tatum where he splits his free throws. And Tom Thibodeau draws up a great look for Jalen Brunson from the corner, but he misses. And the Boston Celtics are able to close out the New York Knicks. Cat led the way for the Knicks while Tatum dropped 41 and the Celtics win.
With the Celtics win, they get to steal a player from the Knicks, so if I make it, you guys vote who they steal, and if I miss it, it is a random player decided by the wheel. You guys get to vote.
And of course, this means the Celtics have now captured the Knicks territory.
NBA Imperialism, episode 13. This is for the attacking team today, the Pacers. And the spinner tells us which direction the Pacers are attacking. They're headed to Detroit.
And we've got Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers headed to Detroit to take on Cade Cunningham and the Detroit Pistons. From the jump, this game went back and forth, starting with an Ivy 3 and a Jalen Duren dunk, followed up by a Tyrese Halliburton 3 and an Andrew Nembhard 3. Then Asar Thompson goes coast to coast for a slam, followed by a Pascal Siakam 3, but it would be Jaden Ivey that would hit this 3, to cut the Pacers' lead to 5 going into the second. It was primarily the Pistons dominating the second quarter. New guys Duncan Robinson and Karis LeVert were getting in on the action, and apparently the Pistons signed Cam Thomas in this video, so he's on the team now. And I didn't know he was on the team actually until I saw him out there, but I'm allowing it because the Pistons are my favorite team, and this is my video. And after Cam Thomas hits this layup, the Pistons go up 5 into the half. The second half got off to a great start for both teams. I mean, actually, who am I kidding? Look at all these SportsCenter not top 10 plays for the entire third quarter. It was pretty awful to watch in general, but Tyrese Halliburton hit this 3 and actually gave Indiana a 1-point lead going into the fourth. I wish the fourth quarter was a little more exciting. After that Tobias 3, the Pacers struggled to score for the rest of like the 1 minute and 30 seconds left remaining in the game. Cade Cunningham gets into his bag down here in the post, but the Pistons go on to win this game 109-102. Ivy was the man for the Pistons in this one with 25 points, while Tyrese Halliburton led the way for the Pacers in their loss. And because the Pistons won, you guys get to vote which player they steal from the Pacers, but for now the Pistons have captured the Pacers territory and stay alive.
NBA Imperialism episode 14. This is for the attacking team of today's video, Boston. And the spinner tells us who the Celtics are attacking. It looks like they're heading up to Milwaukee.
We've got Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics, including new teammate Karl-Anthony Towns, heading to Milwaukee to take on Giannis and Anthony Edwards. And it's Anthony Edwards that kicks us off with the top of the key 3, followed by a Jaylen Brown corner 3. Then Kuz takes it to the rack, followed by a Miles Turner 3 that gives the Bucks a quick 5-point lead. But that didn't last long as Boston continued to rain in corner 3 after corner 3, and Cat finished with this dunk at the end of the quarter to give Boston a 7-point lead. The second quarter, and really just the entire game, was a 3-point barrage from both teams. I wish I would have looked at the stats at the end of the game, but sadly I did not. Either way, Jason Tatum buries this 3 with 1 second left to give the Celtics a 6-point lead going into the half. Giannis gets the second half rolling with a mid-range, but then it's back to your regularly scheduled program. Corner 3, corner 3, corner 3, corner 3, corner 3. Then Giannis goes coast to coast with this dunk to tie the game up. Then in just 4 minutes of sin, the Celtics take a tie game and turn it into a 16-point lead to end the quarter. I mean, Milwaukee hits a couple more corner 3s and they actually get the lead down to like 13, but it still isn't enough as Boston walks away with a 123-106 win. And Ryan Rollins takes his anger out on Anthony Simons' crotch. That didn't look good. Giannis led the way for the Bucks, and Anthony Simons was the leader for the Boston Celtics, meaning you guys get to vote which player the Boston Celtics steal from the Milwaukee Bucks. And of course, with that win, Boston has now claimed Milwaukee's territory and has the largest territory on the map.
NBA Imperialism episode 15. This is for the attacking team today, the Cavs. And the spinner tells us who the Cavs are attacking today. It looks like they're going to Detroit.
We've got Donovan Mitchell and the Cavaliers heading to Detroit to take on Cade Cunningham, Tyrese Halliburton, and the Detroit Pistons. The big man in the middle, Jalen Duren, gets us started here, followed by an Evan Mobley finish in the paint, a Tobias Harris slam, and then another Mobley finish in the paint. Then Tyrese uses this very effective spin move to get himself open for a bucket, followed by an Evan Mobley poster, and then another Evan Mobley poster, which forces the Pistons to call a timeout. But at the end of the quarter, the Pistons were up 30-22. Here's a quick preview of the second quarter. And in exactly 1 minute and 3 seconds, Max Strus hits 3 straight threes to give the Cavaliers a 3-point lead, and the Pistons call a timeout. And with a minute left in the quarter, Ivy hits a 3 that's followed up by a Donovan Mitchell 3 that gives the Cavaliers a 7-point lead heading into the half. Coming out of the half, DeAndre Hunter hits a 3 to give him a 10-point lead, but Tyrese Halliburton has something to say about it. Because in just this quarter, he hit 4 threes to help keep the Pistons' chances alive. And Asar makes a great pass down to Jalen Duren, and Max Strus, of course, hits this 3 that gives the Cavaliers a 2-point lead going into the fourth. Man, this fourth quarter was absolute cinema. Both teams kept hitting 3 after 3-pointer, matching each other to the point where the Cavs couldn't really run away from the Pistons, and the Pistons couldn't really come back from the Cavaliers. And of course, you guys probably guessed it, it was Max Strus that hit this 3 to give the Cavs a 3-point lead, but the sim would end up giving them an 11-point lead in just a matter of minutes. And the Pistons just couldn't come back from that deficit. The icing on the cake was this off-the-glass alley-oop to Evan Mobley as the Cavaliers win by 12. Hallie led the way for the Pistons with 31 points, while Donovan Mitchell also scored 31 points in their win. But of course, this means you guys get to choose who the Cavaliers steal from the Pistons, and obviously with that win, the Cavaliers capture the Pistons' territory and creep closer to an Imperialism championship.
NBA Imperialism episode 16. This is for the attacking team today, the Heat. The spinner tells us where the Miami Heat are headed, and it looks like they're going to Charlotte.
We've got Paolo Banchero in the Miami Heat headed north to take on LaMelo Ball and the Charlotte Hornets. LaMelo starts us out with a 3, followed up by a Tyler Hero fadeaway 2, and then another Tyler Hero 3, and a Paolo Banchero layup that would force the Hornets to call a timeout. But even with the solid start from the Heat, they found themselves down 1 going into the second. Coming out of the break, Wiggins gets us rolling with a 3 here, followed by the Hornets rookies both getting a bucket of their own. But that would be matched by a Paolo Banchero 3 at the other end, which would then be be matched by a Trey Man 3 that forced Miami to call a timeout. And at the half, the Hornets surprisingly still held an 8-point lead. And coming out of the half, it was all Charlotte. They controlled most of the quarter outside of these 2 Paolo Banchero 3s. I mean, we've got LaMelo Ball throwing lobs to Colin Sexton right now. I can tell you LaMelo and the Charlotte Hornets are feeling real good. Shit, I'd feel good too if I was carrying a 17-point lead into the fourth quarter. And let me be honest with you, the Hornets controlled the entire game from there on out. They ended up winning it 114-97. LaMelo led the way for the Hornets while Tyler Hero led the way for the Miami Heat. And because the Hornets beat the Heat, you guys get to vote on which player the Hornets get to steal from the Miami Heat. And with that win, Charlotte is the first team to own territory that doesn't touch each other. I'll see you in the next one.
NBA Imperialism episode 17. This is for the attacking team today, the Blazers. And the spinner tells us who the Blazers are playing. It looks like they're headed to Sacramento.
Man, we've got Dame and the Blazers headed to Sacramento to take on the Kings. And out the gate, both teams got off to a hot start. This is one of those sims where I didn't want to stop watching because every team was scoring at a phenomenal clip. Yeah, I'm obviously kidding. This was awful to watch, but the Kings went on to win the quarter 21-19. 30 seconds in and somebody finally scored. Shout out to Damian Lillard for strapping this 3. And a little Keon Ellis action from the corner, plus a Sabonis bucket and a little bit of help from the sim means that the Kings are going into the second half down by 2. Okay, but the start of the third quarter was a little different than normal. Both teams were hitting at an insane clip once again. I mean, neither of these teams could miss. Okay, obviously both teams are missing a ton. This was such a boring sim to watch for me. It felt like I had to sim to the end of every quarter because I was bored of watching what was in front of me. And I guess luckily we did have a pretty good game on our hands right here. After both of these buckets, we see the Portland is going into the fourth quarter with a 4-point lead. But honestly, it was about time that somebody finally took over, and of course that person was Damian Lillard. He went back to back, absolutely taking over the fourth, and then Shaedon Sharpe had his turn to close out the game, meaning it's the Trailblazers that stay alive and beat the Kings 103-91. LaVine led the way for the Kings, while it was Damian Lillard, of course, that was the guy for the Blazers. And with that win, you guys get to vote which player the Blazers steal from the Kings for the rest of the series. And just like that, the Kings played their one and only game and are officially knocked out of the Imperialism Challenge.
NBA Imperialism episode 18. This is for the attacking team in the video, the Sixers. And the spinner tells us where the Sixers are attacking, and it looks like they're headed north to Boston.
We've got Joel Embiid and the 76ers heading to Boston to take on Giannis and the Celtics. To start the game off, Joel Embiid hit this first bucket, followed by a Giannis bucket, and then a Joel Embiid bucket, and then another Giannis bucket, going back and forth. But that quickly turned into the just Joel Embiid show as he forces Boston to call an early timeout. And it seems like that was a good call because after this maxi 3, the Celtics are going into the second quarter up 9. But the Sixers didn't let up. They hit both of their shots to start the quarter, but somebody had something to say about it, and his name is the Big Bodega. Cat was not going to let this happen on his watch. And at the end of the half, the Sixers decided to go with their man Paul George, and they let him cook. He hit this very clutch 3 to make it a 5-point game going into the half. Paul George got right back to where he left off, and the rest of this quarter went back and forth between the Celtics and the Sixers. Both of these teams are filled with great scorers. I mean, the Sixers have Paul George, Embiid, and Maxey, while the Celtics have Giannis, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and we can't forget Karl Anthony Towns. But it was 3J Edgecombe that would hit the 3 to tie the game at 97 going into the fourth. But with 2.5 minutes remaining, Paul George and Embiid hit layups that would give the Sixers a 7-point lead. And on the next possession, Jason Tatum would hit a clutch 3, cutting the lead down to just 4. Embiid would hit this to go up 6, then Derek White hits a 3 to cut the lead to 3. Then PG hits a clutch 3 to go up 6 points, and both Giannis and Jason Tatum missed their 3-point attempts at the end of the game, and the Sixers walk away as 8-point winners. Giannis led the way for the Celtics, while Tyrese Maxey led the way in a win for the Sixers. And with that win, you guys get to vote which player the Sixers steal from the Celtics. And just like that, the Sixers have captured the Celtics territory and have the largest territory on the map.
NBA Imperialism episode 19. This is for the attacking team today, the Hawks. And the spinner tells us which team they're attacking. It looks like it's the Charlotte Hornets today.
We've got Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks heading north to play Paolo Banchero, LaMelo Ball, and the Charlotte Hornets. New addition Pingus Tingus gets us going with the bucket, which is then matched by Plumlee. Then we get Trae Young for 3, followed by a Tingus Pingus slam. Then the nipple says, "Give me that," and goes up for 2, which is followed by a Trae Young for 3. And then LaMelo matches with a 3 of his own. And the nipple gets a 3 of his own from the corner. And LaMelo gets another 3, but sadly the Sin decides to shit on the Hornets, and Okongwu hits a corner 3 to give the Hawks a 31-17 lead going into the second. In the second quarter, the Hawks really couldn't pull away, but the Hornets couldn't come back either. Both teams were matching each other on both ends until Spencer Dinwiddie says, "Give me them eyes, boy," and drills a 3 in Luke Kennard's face. And once again, the Sin doesn't help the Hornets out at all, and the Hawks take a 12-point lead into the half. And to start the third quarter, we had a back-to-back match again. Both teams going at each other, no team pulling away at all, until Trae Young misses the first one here and then says, "Never twice," and goes, "Trae Young for 3." And
at this point, the Sim decided to put away the Hornets for good and give the Hawks a huge lead going into the fourth. Sadly, this one's only a Trae Young for 2, but this one right here, this one's a Trae Young for 3, which gives the Hawks a 27-point lead going into the fourth. And I'm just gonna skip over the third quarter. The Hawks ended up winning by 31. Paolo was the guy for the Hornets, while Trae Young dropped 40 in a W. And of course, with that win, you guys get to vote on which player the Hawks steal from the Hornets, and that means the Hawks have now captured the Hornets territory and are slowly getting bigger. NBA Imperialism episode 20. This is for the attacking team today, the Rockets. And the spinner tells us who the Rockets are attacking. It looks like it's going to be the Spurs today.
We've got Kevin Durant and the Houston Rockets heading to San Antonio to take on Jokic, Wemby, Devin Booker, and the Spurs. Book gets us rolling with a deep 2, followed by his old teammate Kevin Durant hitting a 3. And the 3-point barrage continued for both teams. Stephon Castle, Jabari Smith Jr., Fred VanVleet all getting in on the action. But if you're going to double Jokic, you cannot leave D Book. But it was DFS that would hit this 3 to give the Rockets a 6-point lead going into the second. And DFS continued that into the second. But the Spurs finally got Wemby involved and got him 2 easy dunks to help get him rolling. But with some help from the Sim, the Rockets would take a 12-point lead with just a minute left in the half. Then Book hit a 3 to cut it to single digits, but KD saw that he had a mismatch with Vassell on him, so he got into his bag, stepped back, and knocked down a clutch 3, which would be canceled out on the other end with the last second Stephon Castle 3 that would cut the lead back down to 9. And the third quarter was just a one-man show, and apparently that one man wears number 22. Either way, Devin Booker went insane and cut a 9-point deficit and turned that into a 1-point lead going into the fourth quarter. Man, let me tell y'all, this fourth quarter was a movie. Every time the Rockets got a bucket, Devin Booker was the one to follow it up. I mean, the dude had a pretty insane game. He was scoring from the mid-range, he was getting his buckets from the three-pointer, he was getting to the rack. You couldn't stop the man. But after all that, the Spurs were still down 4 with 39 seconds and had to follow Amin Thompson, who ended up missing both free throws. But here's where it gets crazy. Book misses a midi and Wemby gets a board, and instead of taking an easy putback, they end up with a Stephon Castle 3 that misses. They foul Fred VanVleet and he ends up making both free throws. So down 6 with 16 seconds, the Spurs opt to just dribble it out and not even get a shot up. They just accepted the loss. So in the Rockets' very first Imperialism game in the series, they quite possibly have the biggest upset ever. I mean, Devin Booker dropped a 40-point triple-double, while KD dropped a smooth 35. And of course, you guys get to vote who the Rockets steal from the Spurs. This could be a good one. And just like that, the Rockets have taken the Spurs' territory and control one of the biggest portions of the map. NBA Imperialism, the recap.
With only 10 teams remaining means we only have 10 episodes of Imperialism remaining. Let's take a look around the league and see which teams remain and how their rosters have changed so far.
Philadelphia won an early match against the Nets and then recently beat the Bucks to steal Giannis from them. The Bulls are yet to play a game, so their roster hasn't changed at all. The Cavaliers won an early match versus the Memphis Grizzlies and then recently beat the Detroit Pistons, which is how they ended up with Cade Cunningham. The Clippers are another team that are yet to play a game, but their next game will 100% be against the Los Angeles Lakers, which could be a fun one. The Hawks have a 1-0 record so far, with their only win coming against the Hornets. They stole Paolo Banchero from the Hornets, who stole him from the Heat, who stole him from the Magic. Needless to say, Paolo has bounced around quite a bit. The Lakers are another one-win team, with their only win coming against the Utah Jazz. In the second episode of the series, the Jazz beat the Warriors and stole Steph Curry, which is how the Lakers now have Steph Curry on their roster. The Rockets have the most recent win in Imperialism, beating the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs were by far the most stacked team. They had Wemby, Jokic, Devin Booker, De'Aaron Fox, and somehow this Rockets team won and got to steal Jokic. OKC beat the Pelicans in the very first episode of Imperialism and then soon after beat the Mavericks and was able to steal Anthony Davis. The Blazers have one win to their name, that being against the Kings, and they were able to steal Domantas Sabonis. Also, I sim with injuries off, so Damian Lillard is active for Imperialism. And the final team remaining is the Washington Wizards. They haven't played anybody yet, but their season most likely is coming to an end soon, I'd guess.
But I need your help.
You see, I used to shoot to decide if a team could steal a player or not, but that's not the case anymore. Now I just let you guys vote which player a team steals. But early on in the series, I missed 3 shots, meaning the Cavs, the Sixers, and the Thunder didn't get to steal a player. And that just doesn't feel fair to me. So I need you guys to vote in the comments who the Sixers should steal from the Nets, who the Cavs should steal from the Grizzlies, and who the Thunder should steal from the Pelicans. And let me know, of the remaining 10 teams, which team are you rooting for, and which team do you think will win it all?
NBA Imperialism episode 21. This is for the attacking team, The Lakers. And the spinner decides who the Lakers attack. It looks like they're staying in LA to play the Clippers.
This is the battle for LA. We got Luka, LeBron, Steph Curry, and the Lakers versus James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Zubac, and the Clippers. We've got some good defense from both sides to start the game, including LeBron's signature move, a chase down block. But it was Luka that would get the first bucket of the game, completely ignoring this double team and going right by them for an easy bucket. Followed up by a pretty insane Zubac putback dunk. Then Steph Curry with the open looks at hand down, man down, and then Steph gets open for another hand down, man down three. Oh, what is that? Another Steph Curry hand down, man down, and 3 straight threes led to a Clippers timeout. I sent the game until a minute left and the Lakers had a 13-point lead, but Beal and Bogdanovich both hit a couple threes that cut the Lakers lead down to 7. In the second quarter, it was all Austin Reeves. He went on a 7-0 run all by himself that forced the Clippers to call an early timeout. And after some help from the sim, the Lakers would go up 23 with a minute left in the half. And after a Kawhi Leonard three-pointer and a couple made free throws from him, the Lakers lead would be cut to 18 going into the half. And to start the third quarter, Steph Curry got back at it with another hand down, man down, followed by LeBron finding Rui for a wide open 3. And finally, James Harden gets a 3 to drop, but it doesn't matter because after the sim, the Lakers are up 19 going into the fourth quarter. I'll just fast forward to the end of the fourth quarter. The Clippers actually cut the lead down to 11, but Steph Curry hit a big ol' hand down, man down, and then another hand down, man down to put the Clippers to sleep officially, with the Lakers winning the game by 17. Kawhi led the way for the Clippers with 25 points, while Steph Curry had 35 on 9 made threes. And of course, with that win, you guys get to vote on which player the Lakers will steal from the Clippers, and with a win in the battle for LA, the Lakers capture the Clippers' small little territory and continue to move forward.
NBA Imperialism, episode number 22. Which team is doing the attacking today? The Hawks. And the spinner tells us which direction the Hawks are attacking. It looks like Washington is finally getting involved.
We've got Trae Young, Paolo Banchero, and the Atlanta Hawks heading to Washington to take on the Wizards. And it's CJ McCollum that gets it started for the Wizards. Oops, that was the wrong clip. This is the right one. Okay, well, at least the Hawks are on the board with a dunk. Okay, this is the right clip. CJ McCollum gets his and Trae Young with a great offensive possession here, getting the 5 seconds in the paint. I don't know what is going on. Anyways, let's try it again. CJ McCollum gets us rolling. All right, never mind. Alexander Sarr gets us rolling with a 3 of his own. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, at least Paolo can get 1 to drop. Okay, let me just send to the end of the quarter. At least we can see Zachary Richardson hit this buzzer beater. That gives Atlanta a 4-point lead. Washington gets a dunk to start the second, but that's followed up by an Okongwu dunk and then a Nickeil Alexander-Walker 3 from the corner that would lead straight to a timeout. And with some help from the sim and a Trae Young 2-pointer, the Hawks would take an 18-point lead into the half. To start the second half, Jalen Johnson would hit a 3 and then get a driving dunk that would force the Wizards to call a timeout early. And with a 17-point lead going into the fourth quarter, I guess Keyshawn George felt some sort of way about this and decided to try and pick a fight with Okongwu. I have no idea why he's doing this, but it has to be because he's a sore loser. Anyways, I won't waste any more of your guys' time. The Hawks hit a couple more threes, you know, they get a rebound, get a dunk here, a little bit of help from the sim, and they walk away with a 31-point win. Chris Middleton was the guy for the Wizards, while Paolo Banchero was the man for the Hawks. And of course, you guys get to vote which player the Hawks will steal from the Wizards. And this means that the Hawks have now captured the Wizards' territory and live to see another day.
NBA Imperialism, episode number 23. This is for the attacking team today. Cavaliers. And the spinner tells us which direction the Cavaliers will attack. It looks like it's Chicago.
We've got Donovan Mitchell in a stacked Cavaliers team heading to Chicago to take on Kobe White and the Bulls. I don't know who Kobe White is, but that's Kobe Green. Nice move from DeAndre Hunter here. Vooch gets big over Jaren Jackson, and Cade gets to a spot in the mid-range for a bucket. And after some help from the sim and a Max Strus layup, the Cavaliers are up 12 going into the second quarter. Kobe White gets us rolling with a dunk, but at the start of the second quarter, both teams are going back and forth, scoring one after the other, but that was until the Cavaliers knocked down 3 straight threes that forced the Chicago Bulls to call an early timeout. And after some mid-quarter simulation and a DeAndre Hunter 3-pointer, the Cavaliers head into the half with a 25-point lead. And not much changed in the second half. The Bulls couldn't string together any stops, they couldn't string together any scoring runs, and the Cavaliers proceeded to dominate the game. And at the end of the third quarter, Lonzo would break out for a dunk, Trey Jones would get an easy bucket in the paint, and Jaren would get his own miss and go up for a bucket that would lead to a 24-point lead for the Cavaliers going into the fourth. And it looked like nothing was going to change for the Bulls, so I decided to sim the entire fourth quarter, and we see Ayo hit this bucket to cut the lead to 33 as the Cavaliers walk away with an easy dub. Kobe White led the way for the Bulls, as Donnie Mitch made Chicago whiz, and of course you guys get to vote on who the Cavaliers will steal from the Bulls, and with that loss, the Bulls are officially out of Imperialism, and the Cavaliers have now made the top 7.
NBA Imperialism, episode number 24. This is for the attacking team today. The Sixers are on the move. The spinner tells us which direction the Sixers will attack, and it looks like they're attacking Houston today. We've got Giannis, Embiid, and the Sixers heading to Houston to take on Jokic, Kevin Durant, and the Rockets. This entire first quarter belonged to the 76ers. Of course, Jokic got in there, Kevin Durant got some buckets, but it was primarily Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey that carried the 76ers to a huge first quarter lead. I mean, Tyrese was on fire to start the game. He hit these two buckets back to back to end the quarter with a 12-point lead. And to start the second quarter, both teams are going back and forth at each other. Josh Okogie would knock down a three, and then VJ Edgecombe would knock down a three in the very next possession. And after the sim, the 76ers still held a 9-point lead with a minute remaining in the half. But Jokic knocks down 2 free throws, the Sixers miss a 3-point attempt, and then Amin Thompson hits a 3 on the other end, which is followed up by another Sixers miss, and then Kevin Durant has a wide open lane to the basket, but decides to kick it out to Fred VanVleet for a 3 that cuts the Sixers lead to just 1 going into the half. To start the third quarter, the Sixers managed to hold a 1-point lead for a little bit, but that was until Sengun set a pick for Kevin Durant. KD found him on the roll and gave the Rockets a 1-point lead. And the Rockets never looked back. After some help from the sim, they went into the fourth quarter with a 14-point lead. And once the fourth quarter hit, the Rockets didn't take their foot off the gas. They kept giving it to the 76ers. Pause, but that's a 24-point win for the Rockets. Kevin Durant dropped 33 and Jokic had 29 and 17, while Giannis had 21 points and 10 boards. And of course, you guys get to vote on which player the Rockets will steal from the 76ers. And just like that, Houston controls the largest portion of the map and is starting to look unstoppable. NBA Imperialism episode number 25. This is for the attacking team, the Cavaliers. And the spinner tells us which direction the Cavs are attacking. It looks like it's Houston this time. Donovan Mitchell, Cade Cunningham, Jaren Jackson Jr., and the Cleveland Cavaliers are heading to Houston to take on Jokic, Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and the Houston Rockets. Kevin Durant and Fred VanVleet both hit back-to-back threes to open up this game, and Jaren gets the first bucket for the Cavs. Then Giannis gets a midi to drop, and Fred VanVleet hits a corner 3, giving them a 9-point lead. And after KD finds Jokic on the roll for a dunk, the Cavaliers are forced to call a timeout. But after the sim, a couple Kevin Durant free throws, a Jarrett Allen layup, and a Kevin Durant layup, the Houston Rockets end the quarter up 5. The game continued to stay close as the second quarter began, both teams going back and forth, and not one team really pulling away until Jarrett Allen gets a dunk here that gives the Cavaliers a 1-point lead. And after the simulation, Cade got a mid-range bucket to go down, followed by a Giannis layup that gave the Rockets a 10-point lead going into the half. The third quarter started with a Giannis lay, followed by a Cade Cunningham layup, and then another Giannis layup and a Donovan Mitchell corner 3. And after the sim, the Rockets would go into the fourth quarter up by 12. To start the fourth, Cade finds Allen rolling to the basket, and Garland finds Allen for an alley-oop. KD gets an easy bucket here, but then Darius Garland hits a super clutch 3 to cut the deficit to just 7 points. And with 3.5 minutes remaining in the fourth, Donovan Mitchell hits 2 free throws, followed by a Jokic layup and a Cade Cunningham layup. And with the Cavs down just 6, Fred VanVleet hits a 3, Cade Cunningham misses a 3 on the next possession, and Kevin Durant hits a dagger 3 to give the Rockets a 7-point victory. Giannis and KD both had monster games, while Cade Cunningham was the guy for the Cavaliers. And with the win, you guys get to vote which player the Rockets get to steal from the Cavaliers. And with this Rockets win, they of course claim the Cavaliers territory on the map. NBA Imperialism episode number 26. Which team is attacking today? The Blazers. And the spinner tells us which direction the Blazers are attacking. It looks like it's the Lakers. We've got Damian Lillard and the Portland Trail Blazers heading to Los Angeles to take on Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, and the Los Angeles Lakers. Jeremy Grant starts us off with a 3, and that's followed up on the other end by a Luka Doncic 3, which is then followed up by another JG for 3. Luka then gets into his bag and knocks down a deep 2, which is followed up by a Tamani Kamara 3, which is followed up by a Kawhi Leonard 3. And after I sim to a minute 30 remaining in the quarter, Donovan Cleveland hits a layup and then gets free on a pick and roll to hit a buzzer beater that gives Portland a 3-point lead going into the second. To start the second, Rui gets free for a dunk, but JG for 3 once again forces the Lakers to call a timeout. So I simulated until a minute and 30 remaining in the quarter, and the Blazers were up 2, but then Denny Advia hits a wide open 3 that gives the Blazers a 5-point lead going into the half. Luka gets a right-handed hook to go down, Kamara gets open for a wide open dunk, but Luka hits a step back 3 that is followed up by a DeAndre Ayton goaltend and a Lakers timeout. And this is where the game gets flipped on its head. After I sim to a minute and 30 remaining, the Blazers went up 14 points. But after a deep 2 from Luka, a LeBron James dunk, a Donovan Clingan dunk, a Shaedon Sharp deep 3, and then a Marcus Smart 3 from the corner, the Blazers were up 10 going into the fourth. And to start the fourth quarter, Steph Curry decides to start playing and hits a couple hand-down man-downs. Then Rui gets a 3 of his own, and Scoot Henderson also hits a 3 from the corner. I then simulated to a minute and 30 remaining in the fourth quarter, and the Blazers were up 4 points. And from there, Denny gets a dunk, and Kawhi Leonard gets open for a 3. The Lakers foul to stop the
the clock and Dame hits both free throws. Luka gets a quick layup and the Lakers have to foul and Dame makes one free throw. Then Luka misses a good look at a three-pointer. They foul Denny. He hits one free throw and then Steph Curry misses a corner three and the Blazers go on to win by 5. Luka led the way for the Lakers and of course Damian Lillard was the guy for the Blazers. And because of this massive upset, you guys get to vote on which player the Blazers steal from the Lakers. And just like that, the Lakers are out of the Imperialism tournament and the Blazers keep on rolling.
NBA Imperialism episode number 27. This is for the attacking team, the Hawks. And the spinner tells us which direction the Hawks are attacking. It looks like it's OKC.
We've got Paolo Banchero, Trae Young, Kristaps Porzingis, CJ McCollum, and the Atlanta Hawks heading to OKC to take on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Anthony Davis, Zion Williamson, Jalen Williams, and the Thunder. Kristaps gets us rolling with a putback, and on the very next possession, Chet hits a 3, which is followed up on the other end by a Trae Young for 3. Then Chet finds AD for an alley-oop, and we get another Trae Young for 3. And after this, Jalen Johnson nasty throwdown and a very generous simulation for the Atlanta Hawks, plus a couple buckets from the Thunder to end the quarter, and the Hawks are up 15 at the end of the period. The second quarter began with a CJ McCollum 3, which was followed up by a Nickeil Alexander-Walker 3, and then 2 easy buckets from Zion Williamson in the paint, plus another very generous sim for the Atlanta Hawks, and a couple more Oklahoma City Thunder buckets to end the quarter that would trim the deficit to 26. The second half started with a Lou Dort alley-oop to Anthony Davis, and a throwdown from Kristaps Porzingis that led into another very generous simulation for the Atlanta Hawks, and with under a minute remaining, Caruso hits a 3, Okongwu gets an easy dunk, then Zion gets open going to the rack, but to end the quarter, CJ McCollum hits some BS bank shot tempo fading 3, giving the Hawks a 37-point lead going into the fourth. And it's not very often that I completely skip over the fourth and just sim all the way through, but the Hawks ended up winning by 29. This game was never close. SGA had a huge game for the Thunder, while CJ McCollum was the guy for the Hawks. And because the Hawks won, you guys get to vote on which player the Hawks steal from the Thunder, and after that Hawks W, all 3 remaining teams are primarily red, so I decided it's time to switch up the colors for some of the remaining teams.
NBA Imperialism episode number 28. Which team is attacking today? The Rockets. And the spinner tells us which team the Rockets are attacking. It looks like they're heading to Portland.
We have an incredibly stacked Houston Rockets team heading to Portland to take on an underdog Portland Trailblazers team. You know, there's a reason this Rockets team is so good outside of the fact that they're just stacked in general. It's the fact that the average height of this starting lineup is 6'9". That's huge. Oh, and that is a Dame Dollar 3, by the way. Anyways, I simulated to a minute left in the quarter, and after a Kevin Durant 3 and a Reed Shepherd layup, the Rockets would take an 8-point lead into the second. But being down 8 isn't anything to these pesky Blazers, who are coming off of an upset win over the stacked Lakers team, as they continue to battle back and cut the Rockets lead down to just 3 and force them to call a timeout. And with under 2 minutes remaining, Jokic dunks it and Giannis gets a layup that puts the lead to 11. But just as Dame hits a 3 to bring it back to single digits, KD gets open on the other end just before the end of the half to hit a 3 that gives the Rockets a 14-point lead. But right out of the half, Kawhi hits a 3 and then gets to the rack that cuts the lead to single digits again. But after a Shepherd layup and a Kevin Durant layup, it forces the Blazers to call an early timeout. So I simulated to a minute remaining in the third quarter, and the Rockets had a 15-point lead. And just before the quarter ends, Kevin Durant gets a wide open layup here, and then another mid-range bucket that puts the Rockets up by 19 going into the fourth. And with a minute 30 remaining, Dame cuts the lead to 9, but KD gets a wide open layup, followed by a Jokic pass out to a KD 3, and on the very next possession, KD hits another dagger 3, helping the Rockets to a 17-point victory. Sabonis dropped 28 and 12 for the Blazers, while KD dropped 41 for the Rockets. And because the Rockets got the W, you guys get to vote which player they steal from the Blazers. And just like that, we have our final 2 teams remaining, meaning tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time, I will be streaming the best of 3 series between the Houston Rockets and the Atlanta Hawks on my YouTube channel. Tap in if you're interested.
This is NBA Imperialism, the finale.
This will be a best of 3 series, meaning the team to get 2 wins first wins it all. And because the Rockets are the favorites in the series, they will get home court advantage. And here's a look at the Atlanta Hawks roster as well. Now, game 1, we saw a lot of Cade Cunningham and Kevin Durant. And more specifically, in the first quarter, it was all Kevin Durant. He might as well have changed his number from 7 to 1 because this first quarter was all him. And because of that, we saw Houston put up 50 in the first quarter and go up by 20 right away. And although it was only a 13-point deficit by halftime, I had to just skip to the end of the game because this was a 26-point loss for the Hawks. They never had a chance. Cade and KD both dropped 30 plus in this game, and Paolo also had a 30-point game, but that wasn't enough by himself. But that's why this is a series. The Hawks still have a chance to pull this out. And with their backs against the wall, the Hawks only had one choice. They have to stay alive. They have to compete, and they have to try and win this game. And instead of being down 20 after 1 quarter, they were only down 3. And for the rest of the half, they continued to battle. The Rockets lead never reached 10, and the Hawks were able to stay within striking range the entire quarter. But Houston is a great team, and they were able to fight off every attempt the Hawks gave to come back, and they went into the half with a 7-point lead. And although Paolo started the half on some tempo fade BS from both sides of the court, it wasn't going to be enough. I mean, this Houston Rockets team is stacked. Kawhi Leonard is coming off of their bench. Kawhi Leonard. So as hard as the Hawks tried to stay in this game, they were just no match for the Rockets. They went into the fourth quarter down 18, and the Rockets never let up. They ended up winning the game by 15 and taking home the Imperialism championship. And of course, the best player in the world, Nikola Jokic, took home the MVP from the series, and we'll give him the MVP for the entirety of Imperialism for that. Anthony Davis was the leading scorer from the Hawks, and of course, Kevin Durant was the leading scorer for the Rockets. And for the last time, with that win, the Houston Rockets have now captured the Hawks' territory and are the champions of Imperialism.